Gianno Caldwell right now, a Republican strategist. Gianno, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
So the team is on set today. We all want to talk with you. Donald Trump is calling himself the law and order candidate. Will his reaction to the police shootings and protests give him a boost, do you think, with independent voters because of the way he has basically, explained what his campaign is all about? Law and order?
I think so. I think so. And I tell you what, I was very pleased with his response to the Tulsa shooting, really acknowledging the fact that to many of us, and I'm talking about the African-American community, that it didn't seem as though a shooting was warranted in that situation. Donald Trump has been on the uprise when it comes to African-Americans going from single digits to double digits. He's up in swing states like Ohio, which are must-win states, which is a must-win state. And I think Donald Trump has been making all the right moves, showing discipline for a strong month. Kellyanne Conway has done wonders with Mr. Trump, and I look forward to seeing even more of that discipline in this upcoming debate on Monday.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way the last couple of weeks, and even in the face of these tragedies. James Freeman, how do you see it? Do you think we're seeing a change in tone, and is that resonating?
I think it's a good issue for Trump. I think people are looking at the facts, which is a rise in shootings and murders in our largest cities around the country. They realize that police are not the main threat to young black men in inner cities. That threat comes from other blacks, unfortunately. And so I think the idea in the black community and the larger American community that police are a malign force, I think just is rejected by most people.
Yeah, and he's been very clear about that, and he's been steady about it. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton off the campaign trail, prepping for the debates, basically ceding the spotlight to Donald Trump. Gianna, what about that? Was this a smart move by her campaign since there is still unrest in Charlotte, or should she be out there stomping the way that Donald Trump is every day?
She should be. I mean, there's questions about her health that continue to come up. I know that Democrats, especially here in Washington, D.C., are very concerned because they see Donald Trump as a true threat, not someone who they believe, as many mentioned months ago, would lose to Hillary Clinton in a landslide. She should be out there talking about these issues, and like the New York Times piece showed, where it came to young African Americans, talking about what she views as the future for African Americans or America in general versus talking about Donald Trump all the time. People tend to think that all she does is paint this negative picture on Donald Trump versus what she could be talking about when it comes to America. Governor Wilder, the former governor of Virginia, the first black governor, said something very interesting yesterday, came out in the Washington Post. He said that he appreciates the efforts that Donald Trump has been making for the African American community, and he's quite frankly shocked that the Democrats haven't done much more.
Wow. Meanwhile, Lee Carter, you've been looking at all the polls, obviously, and doing your own polling. New Quinnipiac poll shows that Donald Trump is closing the gap in the swing states of Colorado and Virginia. The state of Hillary Clinton's running mate, Tim Kaine. For example, look at this four-way race in Colorado. When you look at the four-way among likely voters, Hillary has 44%. Trump has 42%. Gary Johnson now has 10%. Jill Stein has 2%. In mid-August, Hillary Clinton had an 8-point lead. What does this tell you? And, Gianno, I want to get your take on this as well, because President Obama won Colorado back in 2008 and 2012. Could Donald Trump carry Colorado, do you think?
I think that there's a strong possibility. We saw that especially in places like New Hampshire and Nevada, where President Obama won in 2008 and 2012. Donald Trump is even and pulling ahead there. I think Republicans are coalescing around him and strengthening his campaign. Independents as well. He's obviously edging out in that group. And given the fact that he has a very populist message, you got these blue-collar Democrats who, I mean, I think there's unreported numbers that are going to vote his way. When Hillary Clinton made the comment about basket of deplorables, I think that was her trying to tell those Democrats, those blue dogs, if you will, not to vote for Donald Trump, because if you are voting for Donald Trump, this is what we're going to label you. So it's kind of more of a fear tactic, which I don't believe is working at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a fear factor, actually. That was her way of saying, look, it was the same as when President Obama said, I'll consider it an insult if you don't vote for me, right?
And that was so insulting to black people. Insulting, absolutely.
Exactly.
We can't make our own decisions. Insulting.
They're saying, look, vote for me, otherwise I'm insulted because this is about my legacy.
It absolutely backfired, too. What I'm seeing right now, too, is people who were not going to vote for Donald Trump, the strong conservatives that said, I can't get behind him, are now saying, you know what? I cannot tolerate this looking down, this judgment. You're not fighting for me. You're not fighting for the people. I can't deal with it, and now I'm going to go for Donald Trump. And I've seen it happening hard.
Did you see Hillary's, little meltdown about why am I not 50 points or 70 points ahead? It was like a temper tantrum. Nobody's going to be convinced because of that.
Yeah.
You have to earn the vote. You don't just get to whine and get the vote.
And the same thing is going on in Iowa, by the way. This is what we're seeing across these swing states. When you look at Iowa, it's very similar. Donald Trump with 44%, Hillary Clinton down to 37%, Gary Johnson at 10%, and Jill Stein at 2%. And in August, Hillary Clinton led Donald Trump by 2 points in Iowa. Jono, this is a sign that this race is a lot closer than many people thought. You've got to believe the Clinton campaign can't believe how close this is.
I mean, they can't believe it, and they're quite frankly panicking. And you can see that throughout the entire Democratic Party. Like you mentioned with the President Obama comment saying that it would be an insult to his legacy, I take that and compare it to what white nationalists said in 2008 when they said if you vote for President Obama, that would be against your heritage.
Yeah. So
it's very similar rhetoric, and I don't see a lot of upheaval in the Democratic Party or in the media about those comments, which I think is disappointing.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, go ahead, Maria.
No, please go ahead, John.
At the end of the day, this is going to be a very, very tight race. Donald Trump is making all the right moves. Hillary Clinton is making all the wrong moves. I think people should be cautiously optimistic by that fact. I'm talking about Republicans here. And we also see that the narrative that Donald Trump was going to bring down the Republican ticket was absolutely not just wrong, but false from the start, because you got people like John McCain, which is up by 20 points. You got, Senate Republican candidates in Ohio and other places that are up. Marco Rubio's up. So we know for a fact that all the things that we've been told over the months by the pundits, we've been told by the liberal media, absolutely has no factual basis, and we're seeing it play out completely different now.
Yeah, people are smarter than ever when it comes to these tactics. People see through this stuff, and they get insulted by some of these comments. Gianno, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.